I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole?
You could say that.
I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he is expecting to wake up. Ironically, this is not far from the truth. Do you believe in fate, Neil?
No,
Why not?
because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me.
If you go back 500 years, not much happened in a century. Now a lot happens in 6 months. Technology feeds on itself and it gets faster and faster. It's going to continue, and in about 40 years, it's going to be moving so fast, the pace of change is going to be so astonishingly quick that you won't be able to follow it unless you enhance your own intelligence by merging with the intelligent technology we're creating.
This guy is freaky. He says computers will have consciousness in just 25 years.
As we get to the 2030s, you're not going to be able to tell a clear difference between human and machine intelligence.
When Ray Kurzweil makes a prediction, lots of folks listen.
He predicted the collapse of the Soviet Union, described the rise of the internet, and foretold the year a computer would beat a chess champion.
He's an award-winning scientist and engineer, a millionaire several times over because of his inventions.
Ray Kurzweil.
These inventions may end up causing the worst war that humanity's ever had.
Corporations and governments and societies will be created and destroyed on the back of the technology that this book describes.
About 40 years ago, Gordon Moore saw that there was exponential growth in the power of semiconductors, of chips. Basically, every 2 years, we could put twice as many components on a chip. And because they're closer together, they run faster, and so computers get twice as capable overall for the same price every year. We'll make another billion-fold increase in price performance in the next 25 years, and again, shrink the size of these technologies 100,000-fold. So we went from a building to something that fits in your pocket in 40 years, and the next 25 years, we'll go from something that fits in your pocket to something that's the size of a blood cell.
Oh, yeah. It's a big move at an office that could change the way a lot of Americans work. A tech company in Wisconsin is offering to implant tiny microchips into its employees.
Not just but no. The chips could allow people to unlock office doors, make purchases. Rebecca, come on here.
So many questions about this, Robin and Michael. Good morning. We asked a lot of them. This is the first American company to ever try this. 1 week from today, many of the employees, including the CEO, will voluntarily have the microchips implanted into their bodies, and they're calling it, I'm not kidding here, a chips and salsa party. Oh! This morning, like a scene straight out of 007.
So you can keep an eye on me?
Employees at one Wisconsin tech company, 3 Square Market, willingly making that fantasy a reality, implanting their own bodies with microchips. What did the employees say when you brought this idea to them?
Half of them actually within 5 seconds says yes.
CEO Todd Westby, along with 50 of his 80 colleagues, even his wife and kids, preparing to implant these chips, the size of a grain of rice, between their forefingers and thumbs, so they can do everything from buy snacks in the break room to log in the morning to unlocking doors with just the swipe of a hand. What did it take to persuade the holdouts?
Basically, we had to explain to them there's no tracking of the information. It's not GPS or anything like that.
The radio frequency technology in the devices, approved by the FDA, will be inserted with a small needle by a licensed technician. Some internet experts warn that the convenience could come at a cost.
Many things start off with the
best of intentions. But sometimes intentions turn. We've survived thousands of years as a species without being microchipped. Is there any particular need to do it now?
Participation is optional, and some are holding out.
There's always the fear of infection, so it's the unknown right now.
But many are excited to give the new technology a try.
I think it's kind of cool. Just pop it up there and it'll work.
Just pop it up there. It's that simple. So to give you a sense, here's a grain of rice. The chips will be inserted like this grain of rice right here between your thumb and your forefinger. And most of the employees have opted in. It is voluntary.
One size fits all, I guess. Now, what happens if you get the implant and then you're like, I don't want this anymore?
So they told me, in case this happens, you pop it out. You literally push it out the way you would push a splinter out of your hand. Yes.
Okay.
Well, by 2020, we'll have computers that are powerful enough to simulate the human brain, but we won't be finished yet with reverse engineering the human brain and understanding its methods. One of my main themes, and I've developed this thesis over 30 years, is that information technology grows exponentially. The power of computers, our understanding of the human brain, the spatial resolution of brain scanning, the number of bits we move around the internet. I mean, many different measures of information technology double every 1 year, every 11 months, 13 months, depending on what you're measuring. So these technologies will be 1 million times more powerful within 20 years. In fact, the speed of exponential growth is itself speeding up. So in 25 years, these technologies will be 1 billion times more powerful than they are today. And we've already seen that kind of progress. When I was an undergraduate, we all shared a computer at MIT that took up half a building. The computer on your cell phone today is 1 million times cheaper and 1,000 times more powerful. That's a billion-fold increase in price performance of computing since I was an undergraduate. By 2029, and I've been quite consistent on this date, we will have completed the reverse engineering of the human brain. And we've already made very good progress on that. We've reverse engineered a number of different regions, like the cerebellum, which is responsible for our skill formation, and slices of the cerebral cortex where we do our recursive thinking, and the auditory cortex, the visual cortex, and so on. By 2029, we'll have reverse engineered and modeled and simulated all the regions of the brain, and that will provide us the software, algorithmic methods to simulate, all of the human brain's capabilities, including our emotional intelligence. And computers at that time will be far more powerful than the human brain. And we'll be able to create machines that really do have the subtlety and suppleness of human intelligence. And they'll combine that power with ways in which machines are already superior to us. They can harness all of human knowledge with a few keystrokes. It can remember billions of things accurately. They can share knowledge at electronic speeds that are 1 million times faster than human language. So it'll be a very powerful combination. But the last point I'll make is that it's not some alien invasion of intelligent machines coming from Mars to invade us. It's coming from within our civilization, and the whole point of it is to extend our reach. Ever since we picked up a stick to reach a higher branch, we've used our tools to extend our reach. We can now already extend our reach mentally. I can take out a device from my pocket and access all of human knowledge with a few keystrokes. Half the farmers in China have these devices and can do the same thing. It is spawning a real cultural revolution in China and around the world, and these tools are continuing to grow exponentially in power.
Really excited to show you what we've got. I think it's going to blow your mind. All of your senses, your sight, hearing, feeling, pain, these are all electrical signals sent by neurons to your brain. These can all be solved with an implantable Neuralink. This is sort of what it looks like. This is our little device. That thing at the bottom is just to hold the threads in place, because they're just like little fine wires. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. All you can see afterwards is that there's a tiny scar, and if it's under your hair, you can't see it at all. In fact, I could have a Neuralink right now, and you wouldn't know. Maybe I do. So, and it's also got all the things that you would expect to see, the sensors you'd expect to see in a smartwatch or a phone. So there's actually a lot of functions that this device could do related to monitoring your health and warning you about a possible heart attack or stroke or other damage, as well as sort of convenience features like playing music. You can do a lot. It's sort of like if your phone went at your brain or something. Yeah, maybe that's not a great analogy. Anyway, so it's also inductively charged. So it's charged in the same way that you charge a smartwatch or a phone. And so you can use it all day, charge it at night, and have full functionality. So in terms of getting a link, essentially, you remove about a coin-sized piece of skull. Then the robot inserts the electrodes. Then the device replaces the portion of skull that was removed. And we basically close that up with actually super glue, which is how a lot of wounds are closed. So this is our surgical robot. And we actually ultimately want this robot to do essentially the entire surgery. So in everything from incision, removing the skull, inserting the electrodes, placing the device, and then closing things up. So does it actually work? What I'm excited to show you, I'll call it like the Three Little Pigs demo. Well, I'll walk right over and show you. So what we have in pen number 1 is Joyce, and she does not have an implant. Obviously healthy and happy. So here's Dorothy, and in the case of Dorothy, Dorothy used to have an implant, and then we removed the implant. So this is a very important thing to demonstrate is reversibility. So if you have a Neuralink, and then you decide you don't want it, or you want to get an upgrade, and the Neuralink is removed, is it removed in such a way that you are still healthy and happy afterward? Man, Gertrude, are you serious? Okay. Oh, the beauty of live demos. This is a real live demo. All right, here we go. Great. Okay, great. This is a high energy pig. All right, Gertrude, thanks for coming out. So what the beeps you're hearing are real-time signals from the Neuralink in Gertrude's head. So this Neuralink connects to neurons that are in her snout. So whenever she snuffles around and touches something with her snout, that sends out neural spikes, which are detected here. She's had the implant for 2 months. So this is a healthy and happy pig with an implant that is 2 months old and working well. Yeah. And we've been able to show that you can actually have multiple Neuralinks implanted, and again, healthy and happy and indistinguishable from a normal pig. And in terms of additional brain reading activity, when we have, say, one of our pigs on a treadmill, pig on a treadmill. It's a funny concept, really. And we take the readings from the neurons. We're able, with a wireless neural implant, to actually predict the position of all of the limbs in the pig's body. Now, in terms of writing to the brain or stimulating neurons, so you can see them lighting up different brain regions. And then by carefully controlling the electric field, you can actually have one electrode influence possibly 1,000 or 10,000 neurons. And we're making good progress towards clinical studies. I'm excited to announce that we received a breakthrough device designation from the FDA in July, thanks to the hard work of the Neuralink team. So we will make this as safe as possible. Just as with Tesla, while it is legally possible to ship a 1-star car, at Tesla, the only cars we make are 5 stars in every category. So we actually maximize safety, and we'll take the same approach here at Neuralink. So we'll do live Q&A. So bring in a bunch of people from the Neuralink team.
Will you be able to save and replay memories in the future?
Yes, I think in the future you will be able to save and replay memories. I mean, this is obviously sounding increasingly like a Black Mirror episode, but well, I guess it's pretty good at predicting. Over time, we could actually give somebody supervision, like you could have like ultraviolet or infrared, or see and radar, and actually have superhuman vision.
Can the Neuralink chip allow you to summon your Tesla telepathically?
Definitely, of course.
You heard it here first. That's a definite 100%. Carlos, that is the answer.
With this implant, you can actually think, just by thinking, you can output words, and you can type, and you can control a computer, control a phone, and which is pretty wild.
Any estimate of how much it will cost at launch and what price it will reduce to over time?
Well, I think at launch, it's probably going to be, I would say that's not really representative, because at first, I think it's going to be quite expensive, but that price will very rapidly drop. And I think over time, we want to get the cost obviously down as low as possible. But I think inclusive of the automated surgery, I think we want to get the price down to a few $1,000s. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Blasted off from a Falcon 9 rocket, Musk successfully launched the first 60 satellites of thousands that will deploy in the hope to eventually provide a low-cost, high-performance internet access anywhere in the world.
It essentially means rebuilding the internet, but this time in space. So how will Starlink work, and when can we expect to benefit from it?
Elon Musk is working to revolutionize the internet by building a global communication system that will blanket the world in Wi-Fi. He plans to send a mega constellation of nearly 12,000 satellites into outer space, which will orbit above Earth and provide internet connectivity to the surface below.
You could be in a jungle in South America, and if you had just an internet link somehow, you'd have access to all of humanity's information. So it would actually effectively create a superorganism.
It's an ambitious project that will aim to provide internet to every region of the planet.
This is our first launch of a production-designed satellite system as part of our effort to launch a next-generation broadband internet satellite constellation. This will be, fun fact, this will actually be the heaviest payload ever flown on a Falcon 9 rocket, weighing roughly 30,000 pounds. Each of those individual 60 satellites weighs about 227 kilograms or 500 pounds each. So while they're smaller than a typical communications satellite, they're still pretty sizable when you stack them all together. And that flat panel design maximizes space, allowing for a very dense launch stack, as you can see right on your screen right now, to take full advantage of that Falcon 9's launch capabilities. Starlink is also the very first Krypton-propelled spacecraft ever flown. Aside from being the native planet of Superman, Krypton also happens to be a nice blend of cost-effective and efficient propellant for ion propulsion. These ion thrusters enable the satellites to orbit raise, maneuver in space, and deorbit at the end of their useful life. The satellites also have a singular on-orbit solar array. This is one larger panel instead of two, which minimizes potential points of failure. Solar cells are standardized and easy to integrate into the manufacturing process. The Starlink satellites are also equipped with an autonomous collision avoidance system. To our knowledge, this is the first of any satellite constellation ever. The satellites use inputs from the Department of Defense's debris tracking system to autonomously perform maneuvers to avoid collisions of space debris and other spacecraft. This capability reduces human error, which allows for a more reliable approach to collision avoidance. In addition, 95% of all the components on the satellites are demisable, which means that when these satellites are at the end of their life, they will be naturally slowed by the Earth's atmosphere and ultimately be vaporized into dust as they re-enter. At 95% demisable, the satellites exceed current safety standards, and future iterative designs will go even further, shifting to a full 100% demisable material design. Also, while flying at a lower altitude of 550 kilometers, we ensure that the satellites will quickly and easily demise at the end of their life cycle. Once they reach the end of their life, the satellites will utilize their onboard ion propulsion system to deorbit over the course of a few months. In the unlikely event that a propulsion system becomes inoperable, the satellites will naturally passively decay because of atmospheric drag within 1 to 5 years, which is significantly less than the 25-year industry standard for low Earth orbit, or the thousands of years required if you're at a higher altitude.
And if you fail,